Welcome to Somatic Shadow Work for Sleep, a meditation series that recalibrates the thoughts, actions, and habits that govern your daily life. Your guide in these meditations is Seth Cherepak, author of Awaken Your Shadow and founder of somatic axiology. These meditations speak to your dominant form of intelligence, known by cognitive neuroscience as value intelligence. Value intelligence, or VQ, operates upstream of your intellectual intelligence, IQ, and your emotional intelligence, EQ. VQ is the decentralized intelligence sprawling throughout your entire being, like an underground root system feeding every branch above it and the fruit it bears. VQ is the silent architect of the thoughts, decisions, and actions that seem to be under your conscious control until they're tested by the pressures, challenges, and opportunities of your daily life. This is how somatic axiology succeeds in delivering on the promises made by the schools of New Age energy healing, EFT, breathwork, chakra work, sound healing, which address mainly only your EQ, and the school of conventional methods, NLP, positive affirmations, and mindset programs, which address mainly your IQ. Somatic axiology speaks to your VQ, quietly and intentionally transforming the subconscious signal that governs them both, so your thoughts grow clearer and your feelings steadier. Listen to this in a place where your attention is free to shift from the worries and cares of the external world into the rich architecture of your internal world, where your transformation begins. In this episode, Activating Your Intuitive Self, Seth guides you on a journey into the part of you that learned to second guess, to overthink, and to demand proof from a knowing that was sure before the arguing began. This is your first step toward trusting your deeper wisdom instead of drowning it in analysis.
We will begin our journey with 4 deep breaths. Breathe in quickly, feeling your belly expand. Hold as your body begins to relax and your mind begins its descent. Breathe out, feeling your body relax and your mind descending deeper. Breathe in again, feeling your belly expand more and more, and hold. Breathe out slowly as your body relaxes more and more, and your mind descends deeper and deeper. Breathe in again, your belly expanding more and more and more. Hold. Now begin the slow release, your body relaxing more and more, your mind descending deeper and deeper and deeper. Breathe in a final time, your belly expanding fully. Hold. Now breathe slowly out, your body relaxing completely, your mind descending deeper and deeper and deeper, all the way to the deepest part, the part beyond your thoughts, beyond your feelings, and beyond your conscious reach. You are now completely relaxed and at peace. It's late, and you are still awake, not because anything is wrong, not because there is a problem you have to solve before morning. You are awake because there is a question moving inside you, and you do not know whose voice it is asking it. This is not self-help. This is somatic shadow work. Not a meditation to calm your overthinking, not another framework to help you make better decisions. Somatic shadow work is the descent beneath the noise, into the body of a man who has been outsourcing his knowing for so long that he no longer recognizes his own inner voice when it speaks. So let us go there slowly. Notice what your mind has been doing all day. Not the obvious work, not the meetings, not the tasks. The other thing, the constant low-level second-guessing, the decision you made at 9 in the morning that you reconsidered at noon, the text you sent that you read back 3 times wondering if the tone was right, the opinion you formed in a meeting that you immediately abandoned the moment someone smarter sounding pushed back on it, the conviction you had about something at breakfast that had quietly dissolved by dinner. You do not call this confusion. You call it being open-minded. You call it being nuanced. You call it the appropriate humility of a man who knows how complex the world is. But the witness sitting quietly behind your eyes can see something more precise. You are not nuanced. You are static. You are a radio that has been turned to too many stations for too many years, and the signal underneath all the others, the one that was supposed to be yours, has been drowned in everyone else's broadcasts. Feel your head right now? That faint pressure behind the eyes, the tightness in the temples, the strange low electrical hum that does not belong to any specific thought, but is the cumulative weight of every thought that has been laid down on top of every other thought. For years, you have been a careful student. You have read the books. You have listened to the podcasts. You have followed the thinkers. You have absorbed the frameworks. You have steeped your nervous system in other people's clarity for so long that you have begun to mistake their certainty for your own, and the world has rewarded you for it. You are the one who can see all sides. You are the one who can articulate the opposing view. You are the one who can hold complexity. You are the one who never sounds like a fool because you never commits hard enough to be wrong. The world calls this intelligence. The witness calls it something else. Paralysis dressed in the robes of wisdom. Let us walk it through the body. Notice your stomach. Right now, as you lie there listening, there is a part of you down there, beneath the second guessing, beneath the analysis, beneath the careful weighing of pros and cons, a small quiet certainty. You know what I am talking about. That feeling you get sometimes about a person before they have done anything obvious, before there is any evidence you could put on a spreadsheet. That feeling about a decision before you have made the pros and cons list, before you have read every relevant article. That feeling about a direction, a path, a yes, no. That feeling that arrives in your gut before your head has had a chance to weigh in, your body knows. It has always known. And here is the great quiet tragedy of the modern thinking man. You have spent your entire adult life listening to the second voice and overriding the first one. The first voice is fast. The first voice is quiet. The first voice does not produce a citation. The first voice does not show its work. The first voice does not argue. The first voice simply knows. The second voice is loud. The second voice produces footnotes. The second voice has read what the expert said. The second voice has watched the analyst's video on this exact question. The second voice has the supporting evidence. The second voice is articulate. And so you have given the second voice the throne. Year after year, decision after decision, you have let the second voice override the first one until the first voice has gone quiet from being unheard. But it has not died. You cannot kill the first voice. You can only ignore it. And every time you ignore it, your body files the receipt. Look at the receipts. Look at the decisions you knew were wrong before you made them. The job you took even though something in your gut said no. The investment you made even though something in your chest said wait. The relationship you stayed in even though something in your bones had already left. The friend you trusted even though something in your stomach was watching them carefully from the first day. The opportunity you turned down even though something in you was leaning toward it the whole time. You can list them if you let yourself. And every one of those receipts is a moment when you outsourced your knowing. You took the smart person's opinion. You took the data's verdict. You took the consensus. You took the framework. You took the expert's analysis. You took anything except the small embodied yes or no that was already in your stomach before the question had finished being asked. And here is what that has done to the body you are lying in tonight. Your gut does not trust you anymore. This is not a metaphor. The literal interoceptive signaling between your gut and your conscious mind has been disrupted by years of override. The signal goes up. The signal gets ignored. The signal goes up. The signal gets ignored. The signal goes up. The signal gets ignored. And eventually, the signal stops bothering to be clear. Now what comes up is murky, hesitant, layered with the static of everyone else's confidence. And so you do the only thing you know how to do. You reach for more input. Another article, another podcast, another framework, another expert, another opinion from someone who sounds more certain than you feel. You believe you are doing your due diligence. The witness sees what is actually happening. You are running from the discomfort of your own embodied knowing, back into the safety of borrowed conviction. Because borrowed conviction is easier to defend. If you make the decision based on your gut and it goes wrong, you have only yourself to blame. If you make the decision based on the expert's framework and it goes wrong, you can point to the expert. The framework was respected. The data supported it. The smart people agreed. You did the responsible thing. You followed the consensus. You were not wrong. The model was wrong. This is the great seduction of outsourced perception. It is not the seduction of being right. It is the seduction of never having to be solely responsible for being wrong. And it has cost you something the modern world cannot give back. Your own signal. Look at the rest of your nights now. Watch what your mind does when it cannot sleep. It does not rest. It does not even worry exactly. It cycles. It revisits decisions you have already made. It rehearses arguments for decisions you might make. It plays out scenarios. It runs simulations. It litigates the past. It auditions the future. It cannot land. Because to land anywhere, the mind would have to trust something beneath itself to catch it. And you no longer trust what is beneath the mind. You have lost faith in your own gut. And so the mind has nowhere to come down. It hovers, it loops, it chews on questions it does not have permission to actually answer. Because answering them finely and embodiedly would require the kind of inner trust you abandoned a long time ago. This is the exhaustion of the analytical man, not the exhaustion of overwork, the exhaustion of overthinking what your body already knows, the exhaustion of running every signal through 3 external filters before letting it land, the exhaustion of refusing to trust anything that did not arrive with a footnote, the exhaustion of being a man who has read everything and cannot remember the last time he simply knew something all the way down. And tonight, in the honest dark, some part of you is finally tired enough to ask the right question. Not what should I believe? Not what does the data say? Not what would the smart people do? The right question is older than all of those. What do I actually know? Not what have I read? Not what have I been told? Not what is the current consensus among the people I respect? What do I know in my body, in my stomach, in my chest, in the quiet place beneath all the voices? What do I know? And if the answer comes back static, if the first thing you hear is noise, that is the diagnosis. You are not stupid. You are not confused because the world is too complex. You are not paralyzed because the data is genuinely ambiguous. You are static because the channel that was meant to carry your own signal has been rented out to so many other broadcasters that your own voice has been pushed off the air. But the channel is still there. The body still knows. The gut still receives. The signal is still being sent. It is just being drowned by the wattage of everyone else's certainty. And tonight, for the first time in a long time, we are going to turn the other broadcasts down, not off, down. Just enough that you can hear beneath the static the small, steady frequency of a man who has known things his whole life, that he never gave himself permission to listen to. Stay there. Do not reach for the phone. Do not open another tab in your mind. Do not consult one more expert. Just feel the head and the stomach and the space between them where the signal has been trying to travel. Because tonight, for the first time, we are going to find out what the boy in this body was promised would happen if he ever trusted his own knowing, and why he learned very early that it was safer to borrow someone else's. So let us go back before the books, back before the podcasts, back before the carefully cultivated nuance of a man who has read everything and knows nothing all the way down. Back to the boy you used to be. Because the static in your head tonight was first jammed into the signal a long time ago by people who did not know what they were doing, by a small body that was just trying to stay safe. Picture him, the boy version of you, and notice something specific about him. He knew things, small things at first. He knew which adult in the room was actually safe, even when the unsafe one was the one smiling. He knew when his mother was about to cry, 20 minutes before she did. He knew when his father was angry about something he was not naming, because the silence in the kitchen had a different texture than usual. He knew which kid on the playground was lying, not because he had been taught how to tell, but because his stomach moved in a particular way when certain people spoke. He knew when a room had gone wrong before anyone in it could explain why. He was not psychic. He was a child whose body had not yet been overridden. The interoceptive channel was open. The gut spoke directly to the awareness. The microsignals from the world arrived in his nervous system and were trusted as they landed. He felt what was happening, and then he opened his mouth, and he said what he felt. That is when the trouble began. He told the adult who was smiling that he was scared of them, and the adult laughed in a way that made him understand his perception was incorrect. He told his mother that something was wrong before she knew she was about to cry, and his mother said sweetly that everything was fine and asked him to please not be such a sensitive child. He told his father that the silence in the kitchen meant something, and his father said he was making things up, that nothing was happening, that the boy needed to stop reading into things that were not there. He told the teacher that the kid in the back of the classroom was not telling the truth about what had happened on the playground. And the teacher told him he had no way of knowing that, and asked him to stop accusing people without evidence. This is the moment. This is where the static began. A boy who could feel the truth of a room was told again and again by the adults around him that what he was feeling was not real, that his perception was wrong, that his sensitivity was a problem, that his certainty was rude, that his knowing was an inconvenience to the adults who needed the room to be what they said it was. He learned a devastating lesson. What he felt and what he was allowed to say he felt were two different things, and the gap between them began to widen. This is the wound of the intuitive self. Not that no one believed him. The deeper wound, he stopped believing himself. Because here is what happens to a child whose body keeps signaling truths the adults around him refuse to acknowledge. At first he insists. He keeps saying what he sees. He keeps naming what he feels. He keeps trying to get the room to admit what his body is reporting. And the room keeps refusing. And every time the room refuses, the boy is faced with a choice his small body cannot articulate but knows intimately. Either the room is lying, or I am. And a small body in a large room cannot afford to believe that the room is lying, because if the room is lying, then no one in his world can be trusted. Then he is alone. Then everything he depends on for survival is built on something untrue. That is more reality than a child can hold. So he makes the only choice he is capable of making. He decides that he is the one who must be wrong, and the signal goes underground. He does not stop perceiving. The body cannot stop perceiving, but he stops trusting what he perceives. He stops naming it. He stops acting on it. He stops bringing it to the surface where the adults will have to negotiate with it. And he begins to build a second self on top of the first one, the outsourcer, the boy who learned that the safest path was to wait and see what the adults said the room was, and to call that the room. This boy is brilliant. This is the great and terrible irony of the intuitive self in shadow. He becomes a genius at reading what other people want him to perceive. He learns to scan the room not for the truth of it, but for the version of the truth the adults around him are willing to validate. And he gets very good at it, better than the other kids, better than most adults. He becomes the boy who can guess what the teacher wants to hear, the boy who can intuit what the room's official position is even before the room has stated it, the boy who can articulate other people's frameworks back to them more clearly than they themselves can. He is praised for this. He is called bright. He is called perceptive. He is called wise beyond his years. But the perceptiveness he is being praised for is not actually perception. It is sophisticated obedience. It is the ability to read what version of reality is being broadcast in the room and tune himself to that frequency before anyone has to ask him to. And the real signal, the one his body has been receiving since he was small, is treated like dangerous noise, filed away, apologized for when it surfaces, suppressed in favor of the agreed upon version. This is the contract he signs. The outsourcing contract. The contract that says, my own knowing is unreliable. Other people's knowing is safer. The room's official version is what reality is, and I will keep what my body tells me to myself, unless and until the room gives me permission to say it out loud. And he carries this contract into school, and school does not undo the contract. School deepens it, because school is the most efficient machine ever invented for teaching a child to outsource his knowing. The right answer is not the one that arises in his body. The right answer is the one the textbook says. The correct interpretation of the poem is not the one his stomach gave him on the first reading. The correct interpretation is the one the teacher has approved. The trustworthy source is not the small, steady voice beneath his ribs. The trustworthy source is the one with the credentials at the bottom of the page. And every year he spends in this system, his own signal grows fainter. His own knowing becomes something he no longer takes seriously. His own perception is treated as an emotional response to be checked against the data. His own first read of a person, a situation, a decision, is dismissed as a feeling that has to be supplemented with research. He is not taught to integrate his knowing with the outside information. He is taught to replace his knowing with the outside information. And by the time he is finished with his education, he has become a magnificent processor of other people's frameworks, who can no longer reliably tell you what he himself in his own body actually thinks. He is informed, but he is not knowing. He is articulate, but he is not certain. He can argue any side, but he cannot tell you which side his own gut would have chosen if he had ever bothered to ask it. Then he enters the adult world, and the modern world has perfected the system the school began. Information arrives at him from every direction. The expert, the thinker, the influencer, the algorithm, the newsletter, the think tank, The morning podcast, the evening commentator, the friend who has read more than he has, the colleague who can quote the latest study, the acquaintance whose opinions arrive pre-packaged in the language of authority, and his small, untrusted signal is overwhelmed, not killed, just overwhelmed, buried beneath the wattage of broadcasts louder than his own. He does not stop being intuitive. He just stops being able to hear his own intuition over the noise. And here is the deeper wound. He is not aware that he is in pain, because pain implies you can feel where the wound is. And the wound of the intuitive self in shadow is a wound to the very faculty that would feel the wound. He does not feel a sharp absence. He feels a dim hum, a chronic low-grade confusion, a vague sense that decisions are harder than they should be, a creeping suspicion that he has made some of them badly, but he cannot quite identify the pattern. He blames the world. He blames the complexity of the times. He blames his lack of sufficient information. And the moment he blames lack of information, he reaches for more. Another book, another podcast, another framework, another voice he hopes will finally be authoritative enough to make the decision for him. And each new input adds another layer of static. And the small, steady frequency beneath it all gets a little harder to hear. And the cycle deepens. And here is the most sophisticated form this wound takes in the modern intelligent man. Ideological capture. At some point, exhausted by the noise of unlimited perspectives, he gives up on his own discernment entirely, and he chooses aside a school of thought, a philosophy, a movement, a community, a guru, a framework that explains everything, and he downloads its worldview wholesale, and from then on, he does not have to ask his own body anything. The school of thought has already answered. The community has already decided. The guru has already mapped the terrain. The framework has already pre-interpreted every question he might ever face. This feels like clarity. It is not clarity. It is the final stage of ideological capture. The witness sees what has happened. He has not found the truth. He has found a room loud enough that he no longer has to hear his own faint signal beneath it. And the boy whose body still knows things, the boy who could feel when an adult was lying, the boy who could read the silence in the kitchen, is still in there, drowning beneath the wattage, beneath the framework, beneath the algorithm that has been feeding the adult man other people's certainty for so long that he no longer remembers his own knowing has a voice. And tonight, in the honest dark, that boy is finally close enough to the surface to be heard if the grown man will turn the other broadcasts down, even for a moment, even at 1 a.m, even tonight. So come back to now, back to the man in the dark room, back to the bed, back to the body still humming with the static of 1,000 broadcasts that were never his. Because the boy who learned to outsource grew up. He left the kitchen. He left the classroom. He left the small house where his perception was first overruled. He built a life of his own. A real one. A complicated one. And he carried the outsourcing contract with him into every room, into every meeting, into every decision, into every late night spent searching for one more voice that might finally tell him what he already knows. And tonight we are going to look at what that contract has cost him in the life of the grown man. Start with the small things. The decisions you cannot make. Not the dramatic ones. The ordinary ones. The book you have not chosen. The trip you have not booked. The contractor you have not hired. The restaurant you cannot agree on with your wife because you keep wanting to read 3 more reviews. The piece of software you have been comparing for 4 months. The therapist you almost called and then opened another browser tab. These look small. They are not small. They are the daily evidence that the channel inside you that was meant to make decisions has been clogged with so much static that the simplest signal cannot get through cleanly. You believe you are being thorough. You believe you are being responsible. You believe a man with your education owes the world this much diligence. The witness sees what is actually happening. You are running from your own gut. Because your gut already answered the restaurant question in the first 3 seconds. And then the second voice arrived. The one with the citations. The one with the reviews. The one with the alternative options. The one with the comparison framework. The one that wants to be sure before it is willing to be wrong. And the gut went quiet again. And the cycle started. Now zoom out. Look at the larger decisions. The ones that have shaped your actual life. Look at the job you took that you knew in your stomach was the wrong fit. The signal was there on the second interview, a small contraction in your chest, a subtle no in your gut. And then the second voice arrived. The salary was strong. The career path was logical. The smart people in your life thought it was an excellent move. The decision passed every framework you could apply to it. And so you took it, and then you spent 2 years inside it, slowly proving your gut right. Look at the relationship. You know the one where on the first weekend something in your body said this is not the person, but she was kind. She was attractive. Your friends approved. The compatibility test said you matched. Your therapist said you had a tendency to run. Every external indicator said stay. And you stayed for years. And on the day you finally left, or she did, you remembered the signal you had received on that first weekend. And you understood that you had spent years overriding what your body knew before either of you had said anything serious. Or the inverse. Look at the person you walked away from too soon. Where the signal in your gut said this one is real, this one is different, this one is worth more than you have offered any of the others. And the second voice arrived with its concerns. Too soon, too sudden, not enough data. The relationship checklists were not all green. The framework you had downloaded from the dating podcast said wait. And you waited, and then she was gone, or he was gone, or the moment was gone. And you have walked around in the wake of that vanished signal ever since, wondering in the parts of yourself you do not often visit, why nothing since then has carried the same weight. Now look at your work. Look at the project you should have killed 18 months ago. The signal was there, a small no, a quiet sense that this thing was not going to do what you wanted it to do. And the second voice arrived with the sunk cost. The reasons you owed it more time. The frameworks for evaluating whether to persevere or pivot. The expert on persistence whose talk you watched at 2 a.m. The article about grit, and you persisted long after the part of you that knew had already filed the verdict, and the project died anyway. But it died 18 months later than it needed to, and it took with it an enormous amount of life you cannot get back. This is the price of the outsourcing contract in the life of an adult man. Not a single dramatic failure. Death by 1,000 corrections. A life slowly steered off course by a man who kept letting other people's broadcasts overrule the steady signal his own body was sending. And here is where it gets darker. Because the modern world has not left the intuitive self in shadow alone with his confusion. The modern world has built systems specifically optimized to exploit a man with a buried signal. You are not just outsourcing to experts anymore. You are outsourcing to algorithms. The feed knows what you should be afraid of next. The feed knows what you should be angry about today. The feed knows which tribe you belong to before you do. The feed knows what you should believe about a person you have never met based on the 11 seconds of footage it served you this morning. And the small signal in your stomach, the one that was meant to be your sovereign instrument for navigating reality, cannot compete with the wattage of an algorithm engineered by 10,000 engineers to be more compelling than your own perception. So you scroll, and you absorb, and you absorb, and you absorb, and you call this being informed, you are not being informed. You are being formed, reformed by an external system that has every interest in keeping your inner channel jammed. Because a man whose inner channel is open is unpredictable. A man whose inner channel is open does not need the feed. A man whose inner channel is open might one day put the phone down and never pick it up again. A man whose inner channel is open might begin to make decisions that the system cannot anticipate or monetize. The system needs you confused. And here is the sophisticated trap. There are two main shapes the captured intuitive self takes in the modern world: the confused and the dogmatic. You probably know which one you are. The confused man is the one we have already described. He is open to everything. He sees all sides. He cannot land. He has read so many perspectives that he has accidentally talked himself out of having any of his own. He is paralyzed by his own openness. He calls this humility. The witness calls it abdication. But the modern world breeds another version of the captured intuitive. The man who could not bear the static anymore. The man who at some point found the noise so unbearable that he chose a side and lashed himself to it. The dogmatic. He has the framework. He has the worldview. He has the school of thought. He has the tribe. He has the guru. He has the answers. And he interprets every new situation through the lens his chosen team has handed him. He sounds certain. He feels certain. He is, in his daily life, almost never confused. But notice what is missing. He has not asked his own body anything in years. He does not need to. The framework has pre-answered every possible question. The tribe has prejudged every possible event. The school of thought has pre-mapped every possible terrain. His inner signal is just as silenced as the confused man's. The difference is that the confused man knows he is lost. The dogmatic man does not. And that is what makes the dogmatic capture more dangerous. A confused man may still, on a quiet night, hear something small beneath the static. A dogmatic man has built a wall of certainty so loud that even his own gut cannot interrupt it. This is the counterfeit kingdom of the intuitive self. Not stupidity, the capture of perception by external systems. A man's inner channel rented out decade after decade to broadcasters who do not have his interests at heart. And here is the cost. His judgment of people is no longer his own. The first read his body delivers about another human being. The small, true signal his stomach has been sending him since he was a child is filtered through whatever the room currently approves of. He cannot tell anymore if he likes someone because his body trusts them, or because his social context has authorized him to like them. He cannot tell if he distrusts someone because his gut is reading something real, or because his tribe has flagged that person as suspicious. And he begins slowly to build relationships with the wrong people, and to push the right people away because he has no longer trusted the only instrument that could have helped him sort them, his sense of his own life. Look at this one carefully. He cannot tell anymore if he is happy. He can tell you what he is supposed to be happy about. He can tell you what the metrics say about his life. He can tell you how his life compares to other lives. But the small question, am I in my actual body content tonight, is hard for him to answer, because the channel that would deliver that answer has been jammed. He has built a life optimized for what people like him are supposed to want. And he cannot tell anymore if it is the life he, in his own body, actually wants. This is the most subtle, devastating cost of the outsourcing contract. The slow, invisible drift away from his own life into the kind of life everyone else thinks he should be living, until at some point in midlife, he stands in a beautiful house he chose because it was the right house to choose, married to a person his frameworks approved of, working a job that hits every external marker of success, and he feels nothing. Or worse, he feels a quiet, unspeakable wrongness. And he cannot say it out loud, because how would he defend it? On paper, his life is correct. On paper, he has won. But the channel inside him that would have told him whether he was alive in his own life or not has not had a clear transmission in 20 years. And here is where the deepest grief lives. He has lost his contact with God. However you name the higher knowing, whatever language you use for the deeper signal beneath the personal one, the voice of the soul, the voice of the spirit, the still small voice the prophets wrote about. That voice comes through the same channel as the gut signal, and when the gut signal is jammed, the deeper signal cannot land either. He has not heard God in a long time. Not because God has gone silent, because the receiver has been rented out to other broadcasters. And this is the deepest tragedy of the intuitive self in shadow, not the bad decisions. The lost intimacy with the deepest layer of himself. The disconnection from the voice that, when he was a small boy in a small bed, used to speak to him before he had words for what it was saying. He still misses that voice. He just does not have the language to admit what he is missing. He calls it midlife. He calls it burnout. He calls it spiritual restlessness. He calls it depression. The witness has another name for it. He has been broadcasting on every channel but his own for so long that he can no longer hear the one who has been calling him by name. And tonight, in the honest dark, that channel is the closest to clear it has been in years. because the world has finally gone quiet around you for a little while, and the static just for tonight is a little thinner than usual, and somewhere beneath it, the small steady signal you have been overriding since you were 6 years old is asking very quietly if it is finally safe to come back online. So let us begin the work. Not the thinking, the work. Because the witness has shown you the static. The witness has shown you the boy whose perception was overruled. The witness has shown you every decision you outsourced and every drift those decisions caused in the actual shape of your life. And seeing is not enough. You have seen yourself before. You have read the books on intuition. You have listened to the experts who say to trust your gut. You have absorbed their frameworks for embodied knowing. And the static did not lift, because the outsourcing contract was not signed in your mind. It was signed in your body, in the gut that learned to mute its own signal, in the chest that learned not to trust its first read, in the boy who learned that his perception was an inconvenience to the room. And a contract signed in the body can only be rewritten in the body. So tonight we are not going to read another book about intuition. We are going to perform an initiation, the one no one ever performed for you. And the initiation begins with something almost embarrassingly small. You are going to turn the wattage down, not off, down. Just enough that the small signal beneath the noise has a chance to be heard. Here is the protocol. It has 3 movements, and each one is simpler than your mind is going to want it to be. The first movement is called the silence threshold. The second movement is called asking the gut a question. The third movement is called acting on a small knowing. Together they begin to clear the channel. Start with the first, the silence threshold. For the next 24 hours, you are going to find one window of time, no smaller than 30 minutes, in which you do not load a single new broadcast into your nervous system. No podcast, no video, no article, no book, no conversation with a smarter friend, no expert, no framework, no feed. For 30 minutes, just you and the channel beneath the static. Not meditation, not visualization, not a technique, just an unbroken window of input refusal, a walk, a drive without the podcast on, a morning coffee without the phone in your hand, a bath, a shower without thinking about what you will do after the shower, a meal eaten without watching anything, 30 minutes of refusing to add another voice on top of your own. And here is what will happen. It will be uncomfortable, almost immediately. The first 10 minutes will be the loudest part of the silence, because the static does not vanish the moment you stop adding to it. The static keeps broadcasting on its own for a while. Your mind will replay things you have already absorbed. It will offer you the next thing to think about. It will produce small panics about what you might be missing while you are off the feed. The hand will reach for the phone. The mind will offer a reason this would be a good moment to check something. The exhausted analyst inside you will protest that this is not productive. Let it protest. Do not feed it. Do not pick anything up. Just stay in the silence threshold. And around the 15th minute, something faint will begin to emerge. You may not even notice it at first. It will not arrive as a sentence. It will not arrive as a brilliant insight. It will not announce itself. It will arrive as a small change in the body. A particular thought you have been avoiding will become slightly easier to look at. A feeling about a person in your life will become slightly more honest. A small certainty you have been refusing to admit to yourself will rise gently to the surface of your awareness. A decision you have been pretending was complicated will reveal that in your body it has actually been simple for a while. This is the signal coming back online. It is quiet. It is shy. It has been told it was wrong for 30 years. It will not arrive demanding to be heard. It will arrive softly. It will arrive in the way the surface of a lake becomes still enough to show you what is underneath it. And the work in the first movement is simply this. Notice it. Do not argue with it. Do not check it against an external source. Do not validate it with a framework. Just notice it. Acknowledge that you heard it. That is the entire first movement. Now the second movement, asking the gut a question. You are going to choose one ordinary decision in your life right now. Not a major life decision, not the move, not the divorce, not the career pivot, a small one. The restaurant you have been debating with your wife, the book you have been trying to choose for next month, the contractor you have been comparing, the weekend invitation you have been 3 days late in responding to. You are going to put your hand on your stomach. Right now if you want to, or tomorrow when the decision is in front of you. And you are going to ask the question in the simplest possible form. Yes or no, that is all. Not what should I do? Not what is the best option? Not what would the smart people choose? Yes or no, and then you are going to wait 3 seconds. 3 seconds, not 3 minutes of analysis. 3 seconds of listening. Whatever arrives in your body in those 3 seconds is the first signal. It may not be loud. It may not be confident. It may be a small leaning, a faint contraction, a subtle softening, a barely audible inclination toward one of the two options. That is your gut signal. That is the channel coming back online. After the 3 seconds, the second voice will arrive. On schedule, the way it has arrived for 30 years, with its reasons, with its counterexamples, with its frameworks, with its concern that you are deciding too quickly. You will hear it. You will recognize it. And you are going to say something to it you have never said before. Thank you for your input. I have already received the signal. The second voice is not the enemy, but the second voice is not the king. The second voice is the advisor. The first signal is the sovereign. And the work of the second movement is to begin restoring the proper order. The gut decides. The mind supports, not the other way around. You are not going to override your analysis. You are going to demote it. You are going to ask your body first. And let the body's first answer set the direction. And then let the mind serve that direction. This is the inversion. This is the entire reorientation of the intuitive self. For 30 years, you let the mind decide and the body protest. For the next 30 days, the body decides and the mind serves. And here is what will happen. The small decisions will get easier almost immediately. The restaurant will resolve in 3 seconds. The book will choose itself. The weekend invitation will produce an answer in your body before your mind has time to construct a defense for either direction. And you will notice something strange. The decisions made this way will land better. Not always perfectly, but consistently better than the ones you spent 2 weeks researching, because the body has been the one that knew the whole time. The mind has been pretending to know on the body's behalf. And now the third movement, acting on a small knowing. This is the move that begins to convince your body that the contract has truly changed. You are going to take one small piece of embodied knowing this week, and you are going to act on it visibly, concretely, in the world. Not your most important knowing, not the one that would blow up your life, a small one. The friend your gut keeps telling you to call, the meeting your body keeps telling you to skip, the boundary your stomach keeps telling you to set, the truth your chest keeps asking you to speak out loud at the dinner table, the walk your body has been asking for that the mind keeps overruling. One small piece of knowing, acted on without consulting a single external source. You do not check with the expert. You do not ask the friend who has read more. You do not look it up. You do not seek consensus. You feel the signal. You honor the signal. You move. And then you notice what happens in the body afterward, because something will happen, a small loosening in the gut, a subtle relief in the chest, a faint return of vitality you did not realize had been leaking. This is the body filing a new receipt. The body, which has filed receipts for every override of the last 30 years, files a different kind of receipt for an act of self-trust. And every time you act on a small knowing, the channel clears a little more. The signal grows a little stronger. The second voice loses a little wattage. The boy whose perception was overruled gets one more piece of evidence that this man finally is going to take his side. And this is the sovereign contract for the intuitive self. Say it now. Not from the head, from the stomach, from the chest, from the steady frequency beneath all the broadcasts. I trust what I know. Not arrogantly, not loudly, not in opposition to every external input. I trust what I know. The gut speaks first. The mind serves. The body files the truth. The witness confirms the signal, and I will act one small knowing at a time as if my perception is valid. This is the new contract. Signed not in your mind, signed in the channel itself. The one you have been refusing to broadcast on since you were a small boy. And here is the deepest part of this restoration, because the channel is not only for restaurants and contractors, the channel is also where God speaks. Whatever you call the deeper voice, whatever name you give to the still small voice the prophets wrote about, when the channel clears, when the static thins, when the broadcasts of the world step back, something older begins to come through. A voice that knew you before you had words. A signal that has been there your entire life. Patient, waiting, not because you needed to earn it back, but because you needed to clear the line. And every silence threshold you sit in, every gut answer you honor, every small knowing you act on, clears the line a little more, until one day, not tonight, but one day, the signal you have not heard in a long time comes through clean. And the boy who used to know things before anyone could explain how he knew them hears for the first time in decades his own name in a voice that has always been calling it. So let the static settle now. You have done the harder thing, or you have seen for the first time what the harder thing will be. Either way, something in you has shifted tonight. Let your breath find its own pace. Slower now, deeper than it was when we began. Feel the weight of your body against the bed. The simple gravity of being here, held by the earth. At rest, The broadcasts are quieter now. The expert is asleep. The algorithm has nothing to feed you in this room. The framework is closed on the shelf. The next podcast is not playing, and there is only one signal left in the room. Yours. Notice how unfamiliar it is to be the only voice broadcasting inside your own body. How long it has been since you let the channel run with nothing on it but your own quiet frequency. Stay there, because as you stay, the boy underneath the static is finally close enough to be heard. The one who used to know things before he had words for how he knew them. The one who read the kitchen. The one who felt the room before anyone in it had spoken. The one who was told he was making it up, and learned to swallow the signal to keep the peace. He has been waiting patiently the way a true signal waits, with no urgency, with no demand. Just the steady, low frequency of a child who has always trusted that one day the man he would become would finally turn the other broadcasts down and let him speak. Tonight you turned them down, only for a little while. Only for the length of an episode. That is enough. The boy was heard, and the boy can sleep now, because he knows the channel is finally being kept open by the man who lives in his body. And here is what you need to understand. Before this night folds into sleep, what we entered tonight was only one room. The intuitive self, one chamber of the castle, one counterfeit kingdom in a much larger house, and the castle is bigger than this room, because behind other doors, other selves are still waiting. Behind one door, the passive self, the one who abandoned his throne to be liked. Behind another, the codependent self, the one who disappears into other people. Behind another, the insecure self, the one whose dish never stops turning. Behind another, the reckless self, the one with the engine and the match. And behind two more still, the one exhausted by a mask he cannot remove, and the one who calls his control holiness. 7 rooms, 7 selves, 7 thrones, each one waiting for the king to return. You can clear the channel tonight. You can taste the silence threshold. You can begin to ask the gut a question. You can sign the sovereign contract with your own breath. But if the other rooms remain dark, if the other selves remain exiled, the static will return. Because a counterfeit kingdom does not need every room to rule you, it only needs the one you refuse to enter. You can begin to hear your own signal and still abandon your throne in your relationships. You can begin to trust your own knowing and still brace all night against a danger that never comes. The throne in one room means nothing. while the other rooms still belong to the exiles. This is why awareness was never enough. This is why understanding one night cannot rebuild a kingdom. The Matrix will gladly let you understand your outsourcing. So long as you never map the rest of the castle, it will gladly let you have one quiet night of clear signal. So long as you wake tomorrow and forget there are 5 more doors. Do not forget. This is why I wrote Awaken Your Shadow, not as self-help, not as another book to understand and place on the shelf. I wrote it as the map of the entire castle, a descent through all 7 selves, a torch to carry into every darkened room, where a part of you was left waiting. Somatic shadow work. The methodology you have tasted tonight is the tool you will find inside its pages. A practice for the body, not just the mind. A way of meeting each room as the man you actually are, not the role each room was conscripted into. It is not information. It is a mirror, and it is a weapon of reclamation, not to wield against the world, but to cut the contracts off the selves you buried and call them one by one back to the throne. So when the light returns, when this night has passed and the noise of the world rises again, pick it up. Read it slowly, not like information, like a mirror. Read it the way a man walks back through his own castle, opening doors he has kept locked for 30 years, torch held high, refusing to look away. But that is tomorrow. Tonight, you have done enough. Tonight you turned the wattage down. Tonight you let the signal beneath the static come a little closer to the surface. Tonight you let the witness show you the channel without trying to drown it again. And tonight the boy who used to know things has finally been heard. So let me speak a blessing over you now. A blessing for the uncrowned king who has been broadcasting on every channel but his own, for so long that he forgot which frequency was his. Listen to it with your body, not your mind. The body, that tired animal, that faithful beast, is dismissed. The jaw unclenches. The hand opens. The dial drops. And all the broadcasts that tried to become eternal find the one door they cannot follow you through. Blessed is the channel that clears. Blessed is the dial that falls. Blessed is the hand that finally opens after decades of reaching for one more voice. Blessed is the gut that begins to be trusted again. Blessed is the 3-second pause where the signal can finally land. Blessed is the small knowing acted on without consultation. Blessed is the boy who has finally been believed. Blessed is the man who refuses tonight to outsource one more answer. Blessed is the silence in which the still small voice can finally come through clean. Blessed is the final gate where the soul walks on, unburdened by the names it was never meant to wear forever. The confused one, the dogmatic one, the endlessly informed one, the man who cannot decide without 3 more opinions. You can set those names down now. You are not required to consult a library before trusting your own gut. You are not required to validate your perception against 5 external sources to make it real. You are not required to keep the wattage of the world louder than your own faint true signal in order to be allowed to know. Let the hand stay open. Let the dial stay where it has fallen. Let the channel stay clear. Let the breath go slow. The boy is heard. The signal is online. The king has come home to his own perception, and the world does not fear your intelligence. It fears the moment your knowing stops requiring its permission. Tonight the signal came through. In a moment the next episode will begin playing automatically. Heal avoidant attachment, somatic shadow work for the charismatic self, the boy sent to the basement so a mask could live upstairs. Stay and let it play, and know this, one night clears the channel. Keeping it clear in a world engineered for static is a practice. In Awaken Your Shadow, I name the devil who jams your frequency, and I teach you to tell the true signal from the counterfeit light. The audiobook is linked below this video. Click that link now to begin your journey, or continue listening for the next video in this series.